Alright, doing a draftphysics.com video. Anyway, draft science on YouTube. Anyway, so I think I'll maybe make this a series. I don't know. Fake physics of the week. Fake physicser. Maybe that's what we'll call them. The fake physicsers. So these are these people that ridicule flat earthers and their bad science. And they just do science that's also bad. It's stupid. It's fake. Yeah, it's made up. It's nonsensical. It's overtly wrong and weakly evidenced at its best. And yet they're so arrogant and so full of themselves. So they deserve ridicule, clearly. Anyway, so this week it's Baldy Catz. Alright, so he made his 5-minute physics video preview, which was junk physics pretty much, and then he does this video. You know, he sort of promises or states that oh yeah, I'm going to up my game, and he just downs the game. So it's not only fake physics, it's just trivial, silly, childish, immature, 11-year-old physics. Crap. That's what it is. Baldy crap. That's what it is. So, and but highly rewarded, as you can see from the view numbers and the thumbs upping. Oh, of course we have the advertisement that you can't block. Yeah. Thanks, cunt.
1, 2, 3, go. Faster, faster.
2 ads.
Happy Friday.
Fucking cunt. Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to Baldy.
Yes, welcome back to Douchebag Incorporated. Alright, 579 thumbs up for garbage. I mean, it's just garbage. Description of history and the facts. Garbage. I mean, flat earth bad. Alright, so these assholes, these arrogant assholes, you know, pretend they have so much more intelligence and integrity, and he shows absolutely that they have no more intelligence and no more integrity. They just have a different belief, a different religion than the flat earthers. But it's still just a religion. It's still just an, you know, no sourcing, no evidence for their magical statements about reality. But look, 579 to 6. And it's garbage physics. Garbage.
Something a little bit different for you today. Baldy, don't do anything different. Why not? Really boring, trust me.
It would be stupid.
Anyway, where was I? History revisited. A tale of wave particle duality. Now,
history revisited means revisionized. Okay, just faked. Fake history.
Is full of people with great minds. People who are brave enough to ask the right questions and clever enough.
Yes, are you either one of those things, brave or clever? I don't think you are. You, again, like I said, you're finding the dumbest ideas possible to find to argue with, and then pretend that, oh, you did something substantial. You beat up mental cripples. Why don't you take on somebody who's not mentally crippled? Coward.
To find the answers. People like this man, my 7,015th favourite person ever, Isaac Newton.
I don't know who the other douchebag was, you know. But again, you know, funny little jokes. Haha, my 7,000, whatever, idiot. And obviously Newton was a bit of a crank, you know, to some extent, and a lunatic, in the sense that, yes, he wrote more on the subject of angels and nonsense than he actually wrote about actual good physics. But at least he was a good enough scientist not to try to sell his angel books.
Now, Isaac Newton was called Isaac Newton when his parents spotted his love of Newtonian fluids as a child. Isaac Newton grew up to be a bad man.
So, just all these little silly jokes, trivial physics. Yes, we all need to trivialize it. Yes, that's what makes physics really strong and gives it substance. Is, you know, the fact that you can just be trivial.
He used to make films in a shed every week, raving about how light was made of particles, and he would argue with anybody who disagreed with him. You would often...
Yes, it was a legitimate argument, and the argument still sort of exists because the evidence isn't clear. And so it's something that's existed for, I guess you could say, 1,000 or 2,000 or 4,000 years as a question. What is the nature of reality? And yeah, we still don't have really firm, substantial evidence to say we can say whether there is or is not an ether, or there is or is not stupid little electrical fields and magnetical fields and all your made-up crap. So again, you're just sitting here with evidence that's about as weak as dark matter in that, well, we have a working model. I mean, you know, dark matter is a working model, but is there any reason to believe it's an accurate model? No. I mean, you're just so fucking lame.
You find him at Speaker's Corner with a bottle of wine in a bag.
So again, all these little jokes. Ooh, they're not even funny.
Now, Isaac Newton had a nemesis, this man. This man was called Huygens.
Huygens wasn't his nemesis. I mean, this was just silly. I mean, it's the other guy with the calculus that was really the biggest problem. Whatever, the even bigger hair. You know, and, you know, Huygens and Newton actually, I guess they met once, you know, and, you know, Huygens he really wanted to meet Newton.
Now, I might be paraphrasing, but according...
Yeah, he might be just bullshitting, but that's what we need. We need more bullshit around the subject. The subject of wave-particle duality needs more bullshit. You know, we need more nonsense and distraction and noise, you know, on this subject. We don't need clarification and really strong definitions of, you know, what the realities are. No, let's keep it all vague and mushy and bullshitty.
According to Newton, Huygens was a complete cock. You see, Huygens believed that light...
I don't think Newton liked anybody. That's why he died a virgin and was happy about it. It's because he really didn't like anybody. So, you know, in that respect, I love Newton. Because he hated all you scum. You scummy humans. You're just such pieces of dirt. I mean, you're an example. Why would anybody like you as a physicist, right? If all the other physicists in Newton's day were the typical average douchebag talking head we see, why should he like Michio Kaku? And why should he like Degrassi Tyson? And why should he like Lawrence Krauss? And why should he like any of these douchebags? They're all quite dislikable. Arrogant douchebags.
Acted as a wave.
Totally impossible, like...
In fact, it wasn't uncommon.
So is this the grand argument technique of you brilliant physicists? Oh, we're so much smarter than the flat earthers. We can take funny clips of them and we can buffoon them. That's your big talent. You have to resort to Photoshop arguments. Lame, lame, lame.
To see Newton and Huygens battling out in debates, or even naked gravy wrestling. But neither of them could prove each other wrong.
They weren't naked, so what the fuck? Not even close to funny.
And they argued this way up until their divorce in 1943.
Man, they're such zingers. You know, they're just zing, zing, zing. Man, you just, you know, endless flow of zingers. I mean, he wants to, what, be a sit-down comic. Yeah.
And then along came this man, Thomas Young.
Yeah, totally unremarkable. So just ignore the fact that Newton already did all these experiments. So you just make fun of Newton. So no, Newton did a ton of experiments. So regardless of what he did, the fact is he did a ton of experiments, a ton of them. And lots of stuff was learned from him doing the small aperture experiment and the single hair experiment. And he already figured out, hey, look at these funny patterns that are created. And yes, he did what he usually does, which is say, hey, I'm showing you how it does it. I can't tell you how. I mean, I'm showing you what it does. I can't tell you how it does it.
Thomas Young was named Thomas Young by his parents because as a child he looked very young.
So, I mean, so again, it's not even close to funny because the last name, he didn't have any choice about the last name. The parents only choose the first name. I mean, you know, you're a physicist and you can't even figure out that part. You're supposed to be some kind of smarter than the average flat earther, and you can't figure out that the parents didn't pick the last name. I mean, wow. I mean, shit.
This was a decision that I believe they regretted greatly in later life.
Again, you believe, okay. And your evidence is?
Or something like that.
Yeah, it looks way too much like me. I mean, that's just damn irritating. Damn irritating. I mean, really, it's just way too much of a similarity, isn't it? I mean, I don't even know who this guy is or why he exists, but damn it. The good news is he has cut his hair, I think. But he has a fish tank, which is, you know, fairly cool. I mean, I know it's not nice to capture animals and put them in a thing, but I just mean fish tanks mean you do some contemplating and thinking. Fish make you do that when you watch fish. But damn it, I think I even have that exact jacket. I would never do that beardy thing, though. That, I would never do that. So that's a huge giveaway. It's not me, because I would never braid my beard. Never, 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 never happen. No fucking way. I have lovely blue eyes, too. Blue, blue, blue.
Thomas Young performed an experiment called the double slit experiment.
Yes, and again, Newton had already done the experiment in the sense that he had already discovered the things called Newton's rings, which are exactly the same thing. It's just that when you make it into little rectangles, you're just cutting off the circle part. You're a physicist. You can't figure that out either. I mean, I think even a flat earther could figure out, oh yeah, you're just cutting out the roundy parts.
In which he passed light through two slits, and they created
Sunlight, yes. Not monochromatic light. And he got little round balls, okay? Little round balls of different colors. So why don't you explain, why were they round?
an interference pattern that looked a little bit like this. Now,
It didn't look anything like that, okay? So just lie some more, right? So they just can't do anything honest. If it looked like that, know what Young would be saying? He'd be saying, what the fuck is that other pattern? What is that doing in here? I just was supposed to do this little bar stuff. There's not supposed to be another pattern on top of the pattern. Holy fuck, this is screwed up. That's what Young would have been doing. The pattern you still haven't explained with your quantum crapola bullshit, with your frickin' made-up wavy nonsense. Why don't you give me the wave explanation? Why are the waves doing that? Because water waves don't do it. So why the fuck are photon waves doing it? What's the difference? You keep drawing the thing like it's water waves. Why don't you explain the other pattern, please? I mean, just ignore the evidence. Again, just quote mine the evidence. I mean, he's doing it overtly right in front of us here. Just like he thinks, you know, parents pick last names. He's just figures we're too stupid to figure out, hey, that's two patterns. Yeah, we're too stupid?
We all know only waves can cause interference patterns.
Yeah, but they can't cause that one. So why don't you explain that one? Why are they, and they're roundish. Why are they roundish? The other patterns I see, they're little rectangles. How come they're round? Oh, you don't ask any questions, right? Oh, I forgot. You just preach out of your bullshit Bible.
So that's
My professor told me so. And he was almost the pope in the religion.
that settled the argument. The end. No, that's not the end, you knob. What? Look, if you're going to do it properly. Tell the rest of the story.
Oh, do it properly. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's physics. Yeah. Don't want to be called a fake physicist, do you? Doing fake physics. Just make up crap that ain't true.
You're literally pathetic, Baldy, Catz.
Yes, so that guy was right.
You see, many
You're literally, yeah, you're literally, you know, a little bit, you don't have a very high brain cavity. So you're one of those narrow forehead people. Yeah. You're cranium enabled.
Years later, in the year 6969.
69, dudes!
It was noticed.
Yeah. Oh. Physics humor. Oh, you're not a pathetic nerd. No, not at all.
By many people that if a frequency of light was directed at a piece of metal, electrons would fly off the metal, just like in this picture.
Yes, if a specific frequency hits electrons, a specific one, indicating that maybe electrons are resonant frequency dependent. Yeah, a certain kind of vibration has to hit them to knock them loose.
Amazing.
Yes, amazing that it can be drawn as bullets. Frequency. Not waves. Not spreading waves. Some more whatever this is. I mean, it's just whatever this, clip mining. Yeah, clip mining. But it's not much better than Photoshop. It's not much better than me taking some silly looking image of Baldy Catz and, maybe I'll do that for the icon. Maybe I'll create an icon for this video.
But it was also noted that if light of a lower frequency was used, we wouldn't see this effect, as this graph shows. Yay!
So again, that graph doesn't show anything realistically, in the sense that obviously, yes, higher frequencies tend to be able to eject electrons, but you didn't show us any real data, to indicate if it's all higher frequencies with the same efficiency.
Now, it's fair to say that most people wouldn't give a shit about this, but it was important to the followers of Isaac Newton. Let's have a look why. You see, if light behaved as a wave all the time, then we would expect the electrons to be displaced from that metal, no matter how low the frequency of the light wave was that was hitting.
Right. So this is only true if we were stupid enough not to understand that the electrons are probably bound to the atoms. They're stuck in glue, much like a car being stuck in the mud. They're stuck. And then that maybe it's not just about how much you push, maybe it's about how you push. That you have to constructively add to the momentum of the electron to knock it loose. And that if you destructively hit it, you hit it when it's moving towards your energy, that would be a destructive interaction that wouldn't conserve the energy. You would lose energy instead of gain energy. But you're a physicist. You're not smart enough to figure out that electrons might have a resonant frequency. No, that's just way above your grade level, huh? Apparently. I mean, should I show you the bridge videotape, the swaying bridge and how it falls apart because it keeps adding energy? Stupid people you is. The bridge only falls apart under certain wind conditions. How come any wind doesn't do it? Yeah.
In the metal. We could ramp up the intensity as high as possible, and we could leave it long enough, and even at low frequencies, we should be able to see electrons leave if light was acting as a wave.
So again, that doesn't even make any sense, right? So this experiment really doesn't have anything to do with acting like a wave. Okay, it really doesn't. It's clearly a frequency argument. I mean, it screams frequency all over the place. Obviously, the effect happens at we get to a certain frequency, and we can get the effect.
The fact that we don't get any electrons being liberated from the atom at low frequency suggests that the light must be acting as a particle, and a single strike against those electrons is knocking them out of the atom.
Right. So, and the resonant argument for a tipping point would be that all actions at a slow frequency will fail, because you're inevitably going to allow rebound's going to happen before your next impact happens. So if you're trying to tip something over and you throw the things 1 minute at a time, obviously it tips back. You never gain any extra momentum. So you always have to have a minimum hit frequency to knock something loose, to tip something over. So, but again, tipping point just didn't occur to any of these people. That, you know, instead they draw it as the electron in a ditch, you know, in a hole, and they somehow have to hit it at a certain kind of hardness to pop it out of the hole. So they don't even think of it in terms of it. Oh, could it be possible that this is like a tipping point argument, that it's caught in tension, and to break it free of the tension, you have to cause a deep enough vibration in the electron to pop it free.
Now, many years later, Albert Einstein was very angry. And that's not just because once his finger ripped through the toilet roll. It was because...
Oh yeah, that's just hilarious, right? So 11-year-old humor, right? So physicists are basically 11-year-old religious kooks. They're all little altar boys that, you know, were fondled by their professors, I suppose.
He couldn't understand how light could be explained as a wave at some points, but as particles at others. He didn't like that. But he did know that the energy of a wave was proportional to its frequency.
Yeah, see, he didn't know that. And there's no reason to think the frequency in terms of this proportional relationship. I mean, obviously a machine gun, okay, is going to fire more bullets than a regular gun, okay, in the sense that if I shoot bullets 1 a second and I shoot bullets 1 every half second, I'm going to have twice as many bullets in one stream as the other stream, so it's obviously going to have more energy. But there's no intrinsic more energy. The more energy is in the fact that, yes, higher frequency means more exchanges of momentum, more nodes, more quanta of momentum. See, it's called quantum electrodynamics or quantum mechanics, and they never think in terms of quanta.
Wherever we've got proportionality, if E is proportional to F, we can create a constant. And some Planck did that. Call that constant H. E equals HF. Albert Einstein also just made this equation up. E...
Oh, whatever that is. So obviously he didn't just make it up. I mean, you know, obviously it came from some understanding that there's a proportional relationship between energy and mass. And he should have just left it as proportional. Because frankly, I don't think he had any business knowing that C squares has a damn thing to do with it. Okay, so, I mean, I think you could do a tiny bit of logic on this and you could say, yeah, see, what's C squared? It's an arbitrary constant he just grabbed out of nowhere. That's a big, huge number, because that's all they know. Yeah, it's a big, huge amount of energy, so we need a big, huge number to multiply it by, so let's use C squared because it's a big, huge number. But that's all this is. I mean, you have no way of figuring out this fundamental Planck quanta. You have no hope of doing that.
Equals MC squared.
Mass proves you're a dick. That's what it proves.
And that, in this story, is the end of Albert Einstein. Please welcome de Broglie.
Yeah, why don't you just point out that Albert Einstein, 2 years before he died, said, after studying photons for 50 years, I haven't increased my knowledge 1 iota.
Hello, I'm de Broglie.
Hilarious.
Nice to meet you.
Now, de Broglie was named de Broglie because his parents were stupid. But de Broglie himself...
And so I love references to people I couldn't possibly know who the fuck he's putting in these images. You know, the icon for this video has all these famous people in it, you know, like he's doing some kind of serious physics that might show some respect to these predecessors of physics who had to figure all this shit out with sticks and stones and, you know, oil lamps and writing with quills and crap.
Wasn't stupid, and he designed an experiment to show everybody just how clever he was. And he asked the question, if light can act as a wave and a particle, can other things act as a wave and a particle?
Okay, so there's no indication, number one, that first light ever acts as a wave. So again, the pattern you showed obviously is a pattern. It's the simplest pattern you can make in the universe, which is on, off, on, off, on, off. You can't get any simpler, especially at a very specific angle of on and off, and it's just kind of obvious. It's the simplest pattern in the universe. Lots of things can create simple patterns. I mean, all I have to do is, put a piece of dirt on a gear, and I'll create it. Hey, there it is up. There it is up. There it is up. I create a pattern. No waves were interfering.
Specifically in this case, electrons. And here's what he said.
Yes, you made up more bullshit relationships that aren't real, okay? Because there's an association between the fact that if I shoot machine gun bullets at something, or just regular 9mm bullets, there's more machine gun bullets than 9mm bullets, so there's some sort of vague relationship between frequency and energy. We'll assume that frequency is energy, when it's not. It's not the energy. And so now everything that has energy, that is everything that has momentum, we'll give it a frequency, even though it doesn't have one. Okay, just because we used frequency, because we created a proportional relationship between frequency and energy, we'll just assume now that we're going to use the word frequency to describe momentum. So because we don't somehow like the word momentum, we just want to change it into a wave function instead, because momentum doesn't say wave, but frequency, oh, that sounds much more wavy. So just to make the mathematics look wavier, they've now changed momentum into frequency.
He started off knowing that the momentum of something equals mass times velocity. And he wanted to figure out how to calculate the momentum of a photon. So he also knew that energy equals mass times the speed of light squared.
Right, this is where math goes stupid. Because it just, again, these are proportional relationships, not explicit relationships. And again, we know, c squared is just a random constant big number. It's just Einstein's guess. There's absolutely no reason to believe that that's actually accurate.
So from that, E over c squared gives us our mass. Now remember, mass times velocity is momentum. So to get momentum, E over c squared...
Yeah, so you would think he would, well, anyway,
which is the mass, times c, which is the speed of light, will give us E over c. So the momentum of a photon equals E over c. I'm not going to edit that bit out, though.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense anyway, because the E number was already a fake. So now you have a not real a constant that doesn't really have anything to do with being accurate. And you put a number that's going to be ambiguous on top of it. So great, ambiguous over not specific. So a non-exact number over an ambiguous relationship number.
Well, I went there. But he also knew that E equals hf. So if he substitutes hf up to here, then the momentum of the photon becomes hf over c. It's brilliant. Absolutely amazing. But f over c, the frequency of a wave, divided by the speed, gives us the inverse of the wavelength, 1 over lambda.
Yes, that's right. Wavelength and frequency are exact opposite numbers. So wavelength goes down with energy. Wavelength gets longer. Yes, wavelength goes down as energy goes down. Frequency goes up as energy goes up. Inversely related.
So this suddenly becomes this. Momentum equals Planck's constant divided by the wavelength. And a simple rearrangement of that tells us that the wavelength of something...
Right, but most things don't have a frequency. So a car going 60 miles an hour doesn't have a frequency. This is all just bullshit. So, it doesn't mean anything. It's just made up. So now they're just making a proportional relationship between a fake frequency. So they give everything a fake frequency, a fake wavelength. I'm sitting here right now, and I have a fake wavelength as I go around the surface of the Earth. They've given me a fake wavelength to represent one of my velocities.
Is Planck's constant divided by the momentum.
And again, the momentum is only relative to whatever I'm hitting is its movement. So you have to understand that if two things are moving on the Earth, okay, well, they both have momentum in the same direction, and that's zero. And so the only momentum you're going to measure on the surface of the Earth is going to be the momentum relative to the fact that they're both moving. You're not really measuring its absolute momentum.
Boom.
So in theory, this allows us to predict the wavelength of an electron traveling at a certain speed.
Right. So again, it's just, you know, this is, again, so this is supposed to have credibility versus the flat earthers just making crap up and, you know, conspiracy theories and all that other stuff. But and here you are, you're just pretending that you think when something's falling that it has a frequency because it has motion. Motion means frequency. What idiot thinks that's a good idea? What science-type person, anyone who cared about science having some sort of legitimacy and being reasonable, why would they go along with some kind of notion you know is not true, which is this does not have a frequency? It's just a nonsense idea. Why would we sit there and lie about the function? The electron doesn't have a frequency in and of itself as an individual little particle. It has no fucking frequency. This is just nonsense. It has a momentum. And again, you can make a proportional relationship between some sort of fake notion of frequency, because frequency, again, in most cases, has something to do, you will, like I said, if you increase the number of bowling balls, you know, how many seconds between the time you throw them, then yes, there'll be more bowling balls going down the alley. I mean, yes, it's always going to be a relationship between frequency if all things remain the same and all you do is change the frequency. Clearly, it'll be a relationship. But it has nothing to do with saying that frequency is the cause of the momentum. No, the cause of the momentum is the number. The amount of momentum, the things with momentum that have the frequency. The quanta has the momentum, not the frequency. The quanta does. The stuff does.
Speed. And in 1927, the double-slit experiment was repeated, but this time using electrons instead of light.
Yeah, why don't you show us the picture of that? Why don't you show us how they did the experiment?
Wavelength of the electron that we did observe matched the prediction.
Yes, it's the momentum. So the momentum matches in the sense that obviously if they're being affected by the same thing, the photon and the electron are basically interacting with whatever they're interacting with, whatever is the cause of the effect, we can assume it's the same mechanism that's the effect. And that the momentum of the photon, okay, in the sense that the amount of its frequency affected where it went. So clearly you could argue that the energy is important, and that yes, if the momentum, if the object you're hitting, okay, with an electron, a bigger thing, but it's still momentum, and you know, so if it was, for example, electrons that are causing the effect, well, now you're bouncing electrons off electrons. And the key thing is if you actually showed the electron pattern, you'd see that the pattern is very gradual, on and off, on and off. So unlike the photon experiment where it has bars and solid little circles, no, it's a very gradual pattern, indicating that something fundamentally different is happening. And the fundamental difference is that electrons don't really hit electrons. They bounce off of each other because they're repulsively charged. But let's not pretend. Let's just pretend there's no actual physics here. That it's all just some sort of magic experiment where photons just magically do magical things. You're just flat earthers.
Predictions by de Broglie. Oi, Baldy. This is really boring. Why are people still watching?
No, it's cringe-worthy lame. And, you know, the fact that the little arrogant nerdies who are too weak to take on real challenges and can only beat up fundamentally delusional retards, you know, the flat earthers, and can't in any way defend the integrity of their own physics to any real questions. I mean, and we clearly see it on all of the physics boards, and we clearly see it in even trying to get papers published. You're clearly afraid of the argument. Defend your silly notions of dark matter. I mean, I'm sure there's been lots of papers that pointed out you have absolutely no reason to believe in this except you have a misunderstanding of how galaxies work, and the way to fix your broken understanding is to create something fake to fix it. Something completely fake. a fake Holy Ghost to come to the rescue. You have a Bible story, and there's something that happens that you can't explain with God or Jesus, so you need some new character to fix it. So you just invent a little Holy Ghost to fix your broken understanding.
You guys are so pathetic.
So de Broglie showed us that pretty much all things can behave as a wave or a particle.
Yes, again, they don't behave as a wave. They behave as a particle. So again, this is just so stupid. Electrons are particles. Okay? You have no understanding that there's no evidence that you can break them into something. They have very consistent behavior. All electrons are alike, essentially. Blah, blah, blah. And the only thing they can do is be moving at different velocities. And you're turning this into nonsense. You're just making up stories. Alright, hopefully we're back. Without any destruction to the production in progress. Such. Let's finish this up, please.
The problem is, the wavelength of the wave is Planck's constant, which is a very small number, 6.63 times 10 to the minus 34, divided by the mass times the velocity of the object. Now, as people, our mass is massive, our momentum is massive compared to Planck's constant. So our wavelength is immeasurably small. But apparently...
Yeah, well, we don't know our velocity in any real sense, so it's always a relative velocity, blah, 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 so it's not a real... It's not a real thing you're calculating, and why would anyone care anyway? The real point is it can only care to somebody who cares to find out, well, how far did that rabbit run in 15 minutes? Well, who cares? I don't need to know. So all this crap is only good for that purpose, and the real point is what did you do to reality? Well, you've pretended that things that don't have a frequency have a frequency. A wavelength, you call it. You're converting things that have no wave property into something that has a wave property. For what reason? Because that's your religion. Your religion is we must wavicle everything. It's just bullshit. And you can see that it's bullshit on the big scale. By your theory, the moon has a wavelength as it's traveling around the Earth. The Earth has a wavelength as it's traveling around the sun. It's just nonsense. It's rubbish, garbage, nonsense, silly, stupid. No reason to believe that at all. It's flat Earth made up.
We still have one. Yay! Now, this isn't the end of the story. And what I'm about to tell you is defined by Feynman as...
So, bringing up Feynman, which you can bring up Feynman in 1965, or Feynman in 1978, or Feynman in 1992. Well, I don't know if he lived that long, 87 or whatever. No, I think he was still alive in the 90s, yeah.
The central mystery...
Yeah, he did the space shuttle blowing up thing.
...of quantum mechanics, apparently, according to Professor Jim Al-Khalili.
Yeah, so he links to this complete garbage video, right? Just nonsense, horrible physics. So maybe I'll play that next week as the the winner of the junk physics, fake physics. I mean, they're just so stupid. They haven't thought about any of this stuff. They haven't thought about, well, maybe I should verify that some of the crap I'm saying is true is actually true. No, I'll just do what everybody else does. I'll just preach out of the Bible of fake physics.
His video in the description. It's brilliant. You see
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's just complete garbage. It pretends that experiments that have never been done have been done. They've never been done. Nobody would even attempt them. They're so silly. And yet he claims they were done. Oh, that's good physics. No, that's not brilliant. That's rubbish. It's garbage. It's propaganda. No better than the fake crap that the flat earthers come up. You're just faking the evidence. What is it other than just fake evidence? When you lie about the history, you lie about the experiments that have been done. What is that other than fake?
Most of the experiment can be carried out with things even larger than electrons. Complete atoms have been sent through the slit.
And again, and to what understanding? Oh yeah, it creates a crappy pattern, all right, because, well, logically you could argue that as you make the things bigger, whatever you're hitting, okay, with the surfaces, right? The surfaces diffract stuff, so the surfaces are complex. But again, that's too complex an argument to present to physicists. That, you know, the atoms are actually mostly empty space, and the atoms have electrons and protons, nuclei, and so the space of a surface isn't some hard thing. It's not like all made out of wood or something. It's not, you know, it's a complex area, and the key to a small aperture is that you're more and more likely that the photon, the smaller the aperture, the more likely the photon is to go really near the surface. You can't even figure out that simple a 1 + 1 = 2 kind of formula. You know, a formalized step-by-step logic. You're just pretending that the complex thing, the matter that makes up the slits, isn't doing anything. No, the magical photon's doing all the work. Stupid as flat earthers.
And what we find is, excuse me, I will not edit that out. What we find is, if we fire atoms through one slit, they will behave as particles. If we find...
Okay, he just said something completely idiotic, right? Okay, if we fire them through one slit, they'll behave as particles. That's just a lie. They'll behave just like they will with two slits. They won't behave anything like a particle. They'll create Newton's rings. They'll do the same diffracting that they're going to do with two slits. There's nothing magic about two slits and one slit. They're always going to behave the same way. All right, and the only difference is that in real waves, a single slit doesn't have any interference pattern at all. So it doesn't really, there's no analogy really between water waves and the double slit experiment in light, because in the single slit they're nothing like each other. We don't get the same pattern. So Newton's rings already proves this. I mean, I shouldn't even have to say it. But clearly what he just said is wrong. It's just frickin' wrong. It's not accurate. It's fake. It's false. It's completely incorrect. That's not what happened. So let's play it again, because it's just wrong.
What we find is, if we fire atoms through one slit, they will behave as particles.
No, prove that. So there's no evidence that that's true. I've seen no experiment where they shot buckyballs through one slit and they didn't diffract. There's no evidence that that's true. That they didn't diffract any less than they diffract in the two slit. Again, why would you do it with buckyballs? Because the pattern is so weak with atoms. I mean, you could barely see the pattern over the noise. But clearly with photons, the single slit, you get plenty of pattern. Electrons, you get plenty of pattern. So it's just wrong.
If we fire them through two slits, they choose to behave as waves.
They choose to behave as waves. So it's just more nonsense. So again, they don't behave as waves in the sense with photons, it creates that complex pattern. Do you get the complex pattern with electrons, and do you get the complex pattern with buckyballs? Well, I don't think you could tell with atoms, because the pattern is so bad, there's no way you'll ever be able to see the secondary pattern.
However, if I fire them one at a time through two slits, they still choose to behave as waves.
So again, yes, the single particle is waving. Isn't that cute? So again, just doesn't make any sense. It's just, you know, you're sitting there just pointing out the fact that you have accepted a theory that just can't make any sense. And so now you have to come up with these bizarre notions that somehow a single slit, the photon breaks into two waves. Somehow in a double slit, the photon only breaks into two waves. Somehow it doesn't break into four, when it should, shouldn't it? Two slits, shouldn't they behave just like a single slit?
Until I place a detector to watch them travel through those slits one at a time.
Okay, so that never happened. Again, they didn't even do it with the buckyball experiment. So the experiment where they could actually detect which slit the atom went through, because you could actually shine a photon against an atom and you're not going to disturb it too much. So you could actually detect which slit the buckyballs go through, and they didn't do it. But obviously you can't do it with electrons and photons, because you're obviously going to shoot the electron in some new direction, or you're going to the photons, you can't shoot photons at photons and see anything. There's no way to detect a photon but to terminate it, to kill it, to force it to become, to transition, to be absorbed and readmitted, to be trapped and then released. That's all you can do with photons. You can trap them and release them. That's it.
In which case, they choose to behave as particles.
No, they choose to behave. Again, this is baby talk. They choose to behave. Thank you. We need more nonsense about what the photon chooses to do. More garbage physics about how somehow photons have all kinds of magical powers and they even can choose to do things.
That is until, of course, I unplug the detector.
Right. Never done. Again, just a complete lie, fake nonsense. No such detector has been made. Clearly, and at the point where this conversation about detecting was a conversation, they hadn't figured out how to shoot atoms through the split experiment. So they hadn't even done the atom experiment. So all you had is electrons and protons. How do you detect electrons and how do you detect photons without completely interfering with where they're going? How do you do that exactly? Why don't you explain how we construct the experiment to detect the photon or detect the electron? And then we can unplug the detector, right? The detector that you can't make in the first place, and now we're gonna unplug it. I mean, this is just so fucking stupid. And then you actually believe that they unplugged it, and when they unplugged it, the results changed because you unplugged the detector? You unplugged the results of the detector. The detector was still detecting. That is, it was still disturbing the particles. You just didn't look at the results. That's what their claim is, and it's just a preposterously silly claim. I mean, it's just so fake. It's just such a fraud. It's such a not true. It is completely not true.
And the detector's in the room but not being used. And at that point, they choose to behave as waves.
So again, there's no evidence it's ever done. No, nothing changed back to a wave. Nothing changed into a particle. Photons go through slits and they get diffracted, whether they like it or not. At anything, your detector is going to create even more pattern. In the sense, you're not going to turn the photons back into clumps. You would probably turn the photons into things that were flying all over the place. So if you actually did try to detect electrons with photons, you'd probably just end up with an even bigger pattern because you'd be shooting the electrons all over the place.
I don't know the answer. But in the wise words of someone...
Oh yeah, I know the answer is simple, that you don't know how to do your physics correctly, to have a rational step-by-step process to logically understand anything, so you're just as guilty as the flat earthers. They have an agenda, they want to make that agenda the truth, whether it's God or whatever their bullshit is, and they're going to try to force the evidence to fit their fake notions of reality. And just the same things physics done. Here you are trying to force things that have no business being called a wave, things that have no frequency, and you're sitting there saying they have a wavelength. I mean, you're just making it up. You're forcing the reality to fit your stupid, idiotic theology.
Somebody called a cat word. I think the answer is perspective.
Yeah, and your perspective sucks. Here you are, arrogant douchebags, mocking, fundamentally retarded people, and your own belief system is completely glass house. I mean, it's so full of nonsense assumptions you've made, and you've become devoted to them, and you've never even done the basic science to figure out whether your assumptions are right or wrong. You just believe what they tell you. The LIGO people tell you they converted, well, the universe converted 3 solar masses into special phantasmagorical radiation, and the radiation came all the way to Earth and vibrated our mirror. They make up a story and you believe it. Gullible and, screw having hard evidence. We'll just go on the thinnest little bits of hope. And as long as it looks wavy, as long as it's wavy science, we'll go for it. Because we just love the wavy bullshit.
Goodbye.
Fuck you. Alright, just...
Hello and welcome back.
Just garbage. Garbage physics. So I should read the douchebag comments, so maybe I'll do that in another video. These douchebags. Oh, great video. Way to show science is smart by lying, you know, and saying a bunch of shit that ain't true. This is just pure gold. I mean, who could pure gold? I mean, it's trivial physics, and the humor is non-existent. The last sentence ruined me totally. I'm still laughing. I couldn't. Yeah, amazing that this crap gets rewarded. So again, these are all the comments he loved. He gave them little heart symbols. So to get the real comments, you have to get rid of this top comment crap. Oh, fuck. Alright, so I'll save this for some other time. Did Huygens discover the bathtub ring? Fucking gold! That guy definitely maxed out on the plank. Oh, anyway. I love the mysterious quantum world. Yeah, so that's all this is about. Let's keep up this bullshit. It's all mysterious. And, ooh, we live in a complicated, weird universe. It's not completely deterministic mechanical system. No. Amusing presentation style. Yeah, it's in the style of humor, except there isn't any humor. So yes, it looks like it's supposed to be funny, but it wasn't. All Light the Universe actually created NASA in the Disney World Sleeping Beauty's castle. Yeah, well. Am I the only one who giggles at double slit? I would... Slit is okay, a little bit fun. But double slit? Yeah, no, I don't get that one. Alright, I know you like a bit of fun, so check out Random Tings. Oh, Jesus, God. So, yes, so anyway. So it's fake physics, I guess I'll spell it with a P. By people who are phlegm of themselves. Yeah. Yeah, no, they're pull, that's it. Pull of phlegm cells. There, that's better. Pull of phlegm cells. Yeah, it's too complicated. Can't say that 5 times fast. Pull of phlegm cells. They're pull, yes, with their little pull universe. Their little pull forces. Anyway, alright, till the next time. That is so depressing. Oh, I have to hit a button, that's it. I need somebody to hit the button. When I say, and that'll do it. And then some, but now I actually have to reach over here and do it.